In this video, we will go through the benchmark results of CPU in iPhone 6 and the Samsung Galaxy S5. The iPhone 6 is a more recent smartphone. It was launched just a few days ago in September 2014, and Galaxy S5 was launched in March 2014. So it may not be an apple to apple comparison, given that the Samsung is uh, about to launch its newer smartphone in March 2015. But nonetheless, it's it's not bad to compare what we have today. So first, let's go to the what Apple says is its A8 CPU is 25% faster than its earlier A7 CPU, which was used in Apple's iPhone 5s. That being said, we do not have yet a wide scale availability of the Apple's benchmark, but some of the benchmarks that are available today, it confirms what Apple has publicly said, which is 25% better than A7 performance. But before we go into the benchmark scores, let's take a look at what the two processors are. The Apple's iPhone 6 as well as the iPhone 6 Plus, it uses A8 processor. It's a dual core processor based upon 64-bit ARM core, similar to ARM core, but Apple has its own processor design. What it looks like, it's a 1.4 gigahertz dual core, not a quad core, and there is 1 gigabyte of RAM on the processor's package itself. There is no separate RAM. Come to Samsung Galaxy. It's quad core, more core, twice the number of cores that Apple's A8 has. It uses a Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 processor variation, and it has 2 gigabytes of RAM, double the amount of the RAM. Now, there are a few things you can note it down. Number one, when you have more cores, your peak performance is going to be better when all 4 cores are working. In other words, you can expect that when all cores of Samsung Galaxy S5 they fire, you get pretty good performance, pretty good peak performance. In case of Apple, there are only dual cores, so Apple could have potentially increased its peak performance by increasing the number of cores to 4, which it may do in future just to run the benchmark results. But for now, this is what Apple has. Now let's take a quick look of what we have the Geekbench score for A8. It shows 1633 for a single core and 2920 for multi-core, in this case a dual core. Now this score is pretty much in line with what Apple says, that it's 25% better than A7 processor. Now Samsung Galaxy, it has 949 and 2900. Note, its single core is slower than Apple's single core, which we expected because Apple's cores are more efficient, more powerful than the current ARM processors available. However, when all 4 cores of the Samsung Galaxy S5 fire, they exceed the performance of, or they exceed or about the same the performance of A8. But in this case, it's still showing that it's slightly still lagging the Apple's A8 performance, 2920 versus 2900. Single cores far behind and multi-core slightly behind. So at this point of time, Apple is leading the benchmark score. Though what I would say is that it doesn't matter what the peak performance is. How smooth is users the response to users action of clicking some button, that is more important. And if you take that into account, the Apple's user interface and its response is faster than the Samsung Galaxy. For example, if you click or slide the camera starting uh, button, then the Apple is faster. The same thing when pressing some button and expecting the action to happen. That being said, I would like to say that the processors are so powerful that it doesn't matter which one you take. Both of them are, there's plenty of power in the processors, and the processor performance should not be as much of a concern as the user interface and the camera and other options.